Howdy YouTube, my name's Ethanra, and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. So I have a special little episode for you here. Eternia and I are going to try to take on these new Omega Uber bosses, and I've already come to this conclusion myself, but I just thought I'd wait for this particular episode to talk about it, because I've seen other people say their own piece about it on my comment section, so I thought I'd go ahead and say it here rather than there. But yeah, maybe the reason why these bosses are here are because of Kyrie EX, and if that's the case, then I've tried my best to be indifferent about everything that Cena is doing, and yeah, I'm gonna bring this kit. Everything Cena is doing. Hey, Eternia, kept you waiting, huh? So about Cena, I've been trying to be indifferent about it, like I'm not too offended by what they've been doing. But what does bother me is the fact that what they're doing here with Union Cross, because when Kyrie EX came, that was a very big issue for people who did competitive play, because with competitive play, it would make sense for them to be upset about it because how strong Kyrie EX is, and then yeah, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. I'm like stalling for time, waiting for other people to show up, but that's no excuse. Yeah, like that. So when how competitive people are in this game when it comes to the Coliseum and high score challenges and Lux and party and all that stuff, it makes sense for them to be as competitive as they are. And that was fine and dandy until they tampered with my Union's Cross, because you all should know by now Union's Cross is my favorite mode in the game. It is the only true form of multiplayer in my opinion, and the game itself kind of agrees with it by calling it multiplayer. And I know what you're thinking, well, you know, when you're in a party and doing this and this and this and that, then you're doing it with your friends. Yeah, you're right, but it's not the same. It's not being there in real time affecting what's going on. Like, if it doesn't matter if Eternia and I are in the same party and we're both doing like Coliseum, if I'm not there to help her kill the enemies or revive her when she's downed, it's not the same thing. It's not like doing that here. So again, this is the truest form of multiplayer, which is fine because multiplayer is multiplayer. It's usually not competitive. Those two things are not always the same. Like in multiplayer in Call of Duty, even though it's called multiplayer, it's more of competitive mode. That's fine. What else was I saying? Right, so back to this before I completely forget. I got you, Eternia. But before I completely forget, yeah, so multiplayer is not the same thing as competitive for the most part. So when Kyrie EX came and she was like turning this game on its head with how competitive was changed forever, that's one thing. When they touch my Union's Cross, that's something else. Because now it looks like they had like a board meeting or something and said, hey, you know how we changed the face of competitive play in this game with Kyrie EX? So we're now forcing them to get that medal if they want any chance of getting the rewards anymore. That's really good. I like that. Now, I need some brainstorming. How can we make it more intense? How can we just really close this vice around their necks as well as their wallets? Any suggestions? Then some schmuck spoke up and said, yes, Mr. Boss Man, I do have one. You know how Union's Cross is multiplayer, and it really ultimately doesn't matter whether you do it or not, because the rewards there are not really that great in the first place, and it's really there just for fun. There is no competition. Yeah, well, I thought of a way to fix that, and it doesn't involve taking it out. All we have to do is make the bosses so impossibly difficult that if you don't have Kyrie EX or some variation thereof, you will undoubtedly struggle. Then Mr. Bossman said, wow, that is a great idea. So then that schmuck ended up getting a promotion, and now we have what we have now. Thank God that was not as bad as it could have been, because you all saw how bad it was the other couple of times when I was in here by myself. But man, I'm pretty sure something like that happened. Now, I could be wrong, maybe not, but I'm just saying from the evidence they gave me, Why the heck not? Why would you mess with multiplayer when it involves zero competition? Like I said, the only rewards that are really quote unquote worth getting would be the avatar parts, and for me, that's not saying a lot because not any of them have been worth getting, in my opinion. The chat phrases, which I guess a little above that, and of course the jewels. Outside of that, there's really nothing worth getting, in my opinion. And then even with that, only the jewels are really worth it. And crap, I'm losing my train of thought. So yeah, only the jewels are ultimately worth it. But yeah, okay, I was saying how it doesn't really matter though, because you're not. It's not a competition. It's not like if I don't fill out the Unions Cross boards in the next 5 days, then whoever finishes them first will get the best stuff. It's not like that. So that's why I have a problem with if they had to go and do this to Unions Cross just to make it. I mean, because I said this a little earlier too with Kyrie EX. I said I kind of hope they made the game more difficult because Kyrie EX makes everything easier now, and I meant that, but I didn't mean it like this. I meant it more like story mode wise, where it really, now for real, story mode really does not matter. Even less so than Unions Cross as far as getting it done fast is concerned, unless you're like after a specific Keyblade. But getting way off topic, I'm about to enter territory I know nothing about. Getting back on topic, the fact that they did this to Unions Cross because of Kyrie EX, if that is the reason that they did something that evil to my Unions Cross, then and only then do I officially have a problem with them. Because I've been indifferent for the most part, but if they upped the difficulty in Unions Cross, and this is a permanent thing, I'm not saying it's like always going to be bosses, but something Eternia, I believe she did, pointed out that I didn't immediately notice is that they're all bosses. There is no running around anymore. So I sincerely doubt it's a permanent change. I hope it's not a permanent change where it's like there is no running around anymore. It's just, here's a boss, get it done. I really hope that's not the case, because that's arguably more annoying than Hocus Pocus, because at least we could still explore when Hocus Pocus was around. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Is I only have a problem with it if they changed it for that reason, because that's just evil. For lack of better words, it's just evil. Okay. But yeah, Eternia being here is definitely making one heck of a difference, as I'm sure all of you have noticed by now. But I pretty much said what I wanted to say. Again, I apologize being all over the place, but as per usual, when I try to make a video perfect, what can you expect? Be that as it may, I believe I got my point across, how they made the Unions Cross more difficult just for the sake of Kyrie EX now. Like, I wanted the game to be more difficult to, that's lame. I wanted the game to be more difficult so it wouldn't feel as easy. But like I said, I was referring more to story mode than Unions Cross. Because, I mean, the very fact you get to take it on with multiple people means it should already be somewhat difficult. But not difficult to the point where if you do not have this medal or insane buffs and really strong attacks, you can't, quote-unquote, compete in multiplayer. That makes no sense. Anyway, that's all we're going to do for now. I'll debate if I should post this one or not, because I was just all over the place. But in case I do, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you around.